All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. The moment you've all been waiting for. Me making a video standing. Now, this has been requested by no one, including myself, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah, so basically, the reason why I wanted to make a video standing up is because I realized I've kind of never done it, and I think that if I make a video standing up, that might give some interesting information about my voltology that we've never seen before. So I think doing it standing up might be interesting. So I know that like Lapis is a fan of sitting down with your elbows on your thighs, and I think that like that seems to lead to good results, although I do think it maybe encourages use of hands more than normal. And I also think that where was I? Oops. So yeah, I think the way that Lapis likes to do it encourages a lot of hand usage, and I think that I also think the way that Lapis likes to do it encourages extra fluidity, because the spine is like not really in the most normal position. It's kind of like forward, or just in a way that's like a little bit unnatural. Right, so do I have any topics to discuss today? Absolutely not. I've actually tried making a couple of videos in the last week or so. The first video I made was on my laptop with a webcam, and I'm not really a fan of the way that laptop webcam videos turn out usually, unless you like really do some shit with the camera, or some special kind of setup, so the way I'm recording this video is on a tripod with selfie mode. So right now I'm looking at the viewfinder of the selfie cam on camera mode, video mode, and I'm just looking at myself. So every now and then I'm looking to the camera, and then I'm also just kind of looking to the side. And I feel like this is decently representative of how things are when I'm just talking to people. I would say like most of the time I'm looking away, and then like on occasion I'm looking at the person. So I guess I'll just kind of do that. I mean, I'm just gonna be doing what feels normal, but it'll probably go to that like 20-80 split or whatever it is. Maybe I would make a bit more eye contact in person if this is like a real human being, but I don't know. So I need to find a topic, right? So let's think about, do I expect to get anything different out of a standing voltology? I think the answer to that is no, I don't. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that, I guess. Because I think voltology is like pretty consistent. I think even if you're brain dead, or you're in a very weird or interesting state, I think like if you just turn on the camera and you start talking for like 20 minutes, your natural voltology just kind of comes out. And I think even in most cases, even over a short clip, I do think people still usually look like the type they are, and the development. I guess development can vary a bit based on different videos, but I think like generally it's pretty stable. And yeah, so do I expect, so let me ask that question again. Do I expect to see anything different when I'm standing up? So I guess the answer to that question is no. Why am I doing it? I'm doing it because I wanted to make a video, and because it would be nice to know if standing up does make a difference. So yeah. I think usually when I'm standing up, I do kind of have my hands locked like this, which is like a meticulous hand sign. Yeah, so let me think. I guess let's just talk about type a little bit. So I think my type is so I guess let's do any of the types in CT kind of like make a lot of sense to me or seem significant? Honestly, no, not really. Like to some degree, yeah, but like also not. So I think for me, it's pretty. I really haven't like said what I meant at all, or what I said I would answer. I'm just talking. Just ignore me. Just mute the video right now. So basically, I think I'm like obviously candid. I think like there's just no world in which I'm not candid. I'm pretty clearly NESI as well. Although interestingly enough, if you take a video of me while I'm high on weed, my toggles tend to be more pointed. There tends to be more, I get the hanging eyelids. I think SC signals in general go up whenever I am stoned. But when I'm sober, I think I'm normally pretty NESI. So I think I'm like, I'm probably pretty unambiguously delta. Like I think the p-axis might have some slight signal mixing, but like I imagine I probably do a fair amount of like pointed toggles as well. I know my scowl is SI, so I have SI scowl. I have brushstroke toggles. I have I have non-raised outer edges. I have, what else do I have? I have levity effect kind of often. And then I think so for the SE and I signals, I have my eyebrows like lifted. And arguably like half the time my eyelids are kind of like halfway. I think they're kind of like, they're often pretty, I'd say usually that's an NESI point. Like my eyelids are usually like pretty open, but sometimes they're not fully open. So sometimes my eyes are a little bit in between, but usually I would say they're 2 out of 3 NESI, 1 out of 3 SENI. My bodily awareness is usually very high. I noticed actually when I'm standing, I seem to have lower bodily awareness, which is interesting, but in pretty much any video I've made, you can go back, you can take a look at it. I have some kind of bodily awareness in every single video. Maybe like a medium amount of it, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. So gravity, I don't gravity, really, generally speaking. In fact, there was one time I went, there's this memory I have that kind of sticks with me when it comes to gravity versus levity that I think explains the thing pretty well. So I would say, or what happened was basically I was at the dentist and then they told me to sit in the chair. And so I sat in the chair and then they started like, I'm just like kind of laying back and then they start moving the chair backwards. And I wasn't like actually laying against the chair, at least not with my head, just with my back, not my head. And so then they started to recline it, and instead of just putting my head against like the headrest, I just slowly moved my head back at roughly the same rate until I realized like halfway through that I could just put it on the headrest. But in that sense, I think this explains levity versus gravity decently well. I think any, and I also enjoy the word suspended for this as well, because I think NESI people can just kind of be like suspended in motion or in a certain state. whereas the SCNI people are more, like, they can gravity down pretty naturally. So I have levity, I would say, and I don't have gravity. So then if we count them up, then we have 2 eye signals, we have levity, we have brushstroke toggles. Quirky skits I have when I'm high energy. Oh yeah, another scale. Quirky skits I have when I'm high energy, but usually I don't. And then I also have eye head trailing motion. So I have really most of the NES eye signals. I would say for the SCNI side, I have one of the eye tension signals. I have bodily awareness. I have pointed toggles, but I don't have the other SE signals. So I think so 3 signals versus 6, and I would say the 6 tend to be like, well, anyway, so I think I'm pretty clearly delta. As for like quadra values, I mean, I don't really, let's see, I think I'm Sealy. Usually like my emotions just kind of leaking, and I don't think it's really negative. I think I usually have some kind of like positive emotional leakage. But I honestly am like not super familiar with the actual signals for Sealy and the actual signals for unsealy. I just know that I think I'm Sealy. Yeah. So I'm a Sealy delta. I'm a Sealy delta. Oh, by the way, I'm male. In case that wasn't clear. So I'm a Sealy delta male, and what else can we say about my type? I have JI, I have FI integration and NE integration. I think both of those are pretty clear. I think in pretty much any video I've made, although there is one where I actually have really low amounts of signals, so I think maybe I could go revisit that one. But I think I actually I revisited that, and if you like think about it, it's actually just I'm a low energy PE lead. I think low energy PE leads who just aren't moving around much or doing much, they often look a little like lacking in some ways. Like they can be hard to type at first because that's just not really the way PE is supposed to be, and it can just kind of like, if someone's just looking around all the time, like, and then the rest of their body like hardly moves, and like, maybe they go like this, like, and I just casual hand every now and then or something, and I just do nothing else, then I'm like a PE lead. That's not explaining it very well. But yeah, no, I think like sometimes you can have PE leads anyway who are just like not very PE. They're just kind of sitting there, they're just kind of chilling. And then in my last uploaded video, there was some talk or debate or a mention or whatever that I might have an SI stick. I don't think so. So I think SI was kind of present back then, and I think SI comes around every now and then, but I don't think it's really integrated. I really just feel my NE and my FI like almost always, and I think like the amount that which my SI comes through is just like not that consistent. I also think it's more consistent when my wife is here in the US with me, and whenever she leaves, I think my JI kind of increases and my PI goes down or something. I'm not sure, but yeah. So then there's, I guess, like I'm just kind of doing like a default construction of my type basically, I guess, because like I'm thinking, is it even plausible for anything else to even happen? So I guess I just took all this time to fill time while making the video, and to also say that I guess the only alternate type I could possibly be is FINE. And I did play around with that thought for a while, but it just doesn't seem correct for me. I am married to an FI lead. She's FISE and she's polarized, so she has 2 J's and no P's, so it's a bit different. But I feel like just overall, our default processes are like not really the same. I think, I mean, I could be wrong, I guess, but yeah. No, what I actually want to do with this video too is I want to give it to all the, well, there is a new kind of group of people I can send a Vaultology video to, and they may have an alternate opinion. So I'm a little bit interested in a possible alternate opinion, I guess. I think these people have some respectable knowledge, and it's worth considering what they think. Yeah. But I did need a third video. I did need a third video actually. And Auburn wanted to do a third video with me. We got on a video call because he wanted to confirm that I was whether I was P lead or J lead. And he said it was like pretty close, but he thought, but he wanted to like double check just to make sure. And then my report came back PE lead and EFI 2-stick. And I do have some more PE signs than I do JI on my report at least. But what really did it was just the fact that I had many P lead signs and less J lead signs. Yeah, and I still think that's the case. I haven't really like properly analyzed a video of mine in ages. I just take it for granted that I'm NEFI usually. But like I said, there was, a time where I was kind of questioning that. And in those times, I did kind of go back to look like, does it look like PE is my dominant process or does it look like JI is? And in those moments, I decided that PE looks like it's my dominant process. So I don't think that I'm FINE. Yeah, but I will say that like there are some things that could make one reconsider their type in CT. And so, for example, I think there are a lot of times when I probably act more like a JI lead than I do like a PE lead. I mean, obviously I have both of them, but, and I mean, there are a lot of times when really there's lost it. I forgot. I fully just forgot. But I think vaultologically too, we've kind of seen that I'm like, I think I've had some moments of PE with little JI, and I don't really have many moments of JI with little PE, so far as I know. I haven't really been looking out for it, to be fair. But I just feel a little more cash and stuff, I also think that like, I mean, my head just dries my eyes, plain and simple. I think I'm like eccentric. I think my posture is generally, I think I got high for the rigid posture sign actually. But yeah, I don't know. My horizontal or vertical, I have no idea. I don't think I'm very pointed. Yeah, let's see. Yeah. I don't know if I have anything more to say really. But I'm still like not even at the 20-minute mark yet. So like, I don't know if like my actual vaultology has really like come out yet. I also think that recording really long solo videos where you pretty much just never stop talking is very exhausting and not super accurate to what normally goes on, but also I don't know. Okay, so I think, oh right, so I also did want to say though that I think there are a lot of times when my PE is like not really too psychologically present, but my JI feels pretty much always psychologically present. Now, of course, from a PE lead, then it's just kind of like fish and water. It's the air I breathe, so I wouldn't really know if I wasn't doing it because it's just always there. But I noticed that my voltology and my behavior and my energy levels are just a lot more PE-ish whenever in certain phases and when my energy is higher. But I don't know, more energy is more you, as I say, and me and my wife say, really, because we've noticed really that if you have more energy, you kind of feel like you're more yourself. Because I don't know, it's just, that's how it seems to work. Nobody really identifies with being depressed or identifies with being super low energy. I mean, like, it's like not on a really like felt deep level. People will be like, oh, I'm lazy, haha, or like, oh, I have so little energy. But it's like, you know, an actual thing. People just tend to not feel like, you know, it's their true selves when they're on very little energy. When they're on more energy, they do tend to feel like it's their true selves. I think the reason for this is basically that I believe, I would have to double check. When you have more energy, when you're higher mood, there's just more brain activity. So there's literally more of you being used. So of course you feel more like yourself. It's because you actually have a more holistic sense of self in that moment, because you're accessing all the or more parts of you than you would normally be accessing. So I think that makes sense, and it's kind of interesting that we see that. Right. So I think if I just find one more topic to squeeze in, I think we can call it a day. We can stop recording. So let me think. Can I find a topic? Right. I saw some people bring up attitudinal psyche today, I guess, or psycho whatever, psyche yoga, the Russian personality system that isn't socionics. I think it's an interesting system. I wish the community around it was a bit more active, and that there were more resources. It's not a theory that I personally feel very like sold about. I don't feel like particularly convinced that attitudinal psyche types are real, or that they say much, or that they don't change over time, or anything like that. And the subtype system is particularly disgusting, in my opinion, because the subtype basically says, okay, you gotta get this. I think this makes the system kind of a meme, to be honest. I think I would just totally disregard subtypes if I wanted to take this seriously, because, or maybe there's just more nuance to it, but I think it's a bit theoretically like sketchy. So basically, for each letter it can be in your first, second, third, or fourth position, right? So each aspect. So like, let's go with logic, L. I think I'm a 1L type, probably. And so I would be 1L, and then I would have a subtype, which is 1, 2, 3, or 4. And what the subtype means is basically that my L would be LARPing as another position of L. So if it's 1L1, then it looks like it's L1, that's good. If it's L2, 1L2, then it looks like I have L2L. If it's 1L3, it looks like I have 3L, and if it's 4L, then it might, 1L4, then it might look like I have 4L. I think these are supposed to be distinguishable from each other, but they're supposed to be changeable over time, and I just think it makes the theory shit. It's just a really cop-out way to say your type doesn't change over time. Yeah, I mean, so I think maybe if I dug in more, I would find that there's a meaningful difference between 1L4 and 4L. Not to, like, obviously there's the fact that a person might have 1L4 and also 4V4, in which case they would look like they don't get a type because the 2 4 slots. But I think that just means the system doesn't work very well. So I don't know. I'm, and then I think there's also, I think what falls under F and V can be very unclear as well. Yeah, so I think for me, I think I probably have 1L. But I'm not, maybe I'm not super 100% on it, but I think I probably have 1L. And then, so my last type was, that I settled at was LFVE. But I think, yeah, no, I think that probably seems right. But again, F is just a bit interesting because F is focused on physical and practical. But I would say I'm mostly focused on the practical part of that. But also, like, I really enjoy food, for example, food and drinks and just common sensory experiences, drugs, just, you know, many F things. But I don't know, like I would need to look more into that, I guess. I also think that my V is, yeah, I guess my V is just probably not great. So I guess it probably belongs in 3. I think but I feel like I think I am process V. Okay, yeah, I think I'm LFVE. Yeah, I think that makes total sense. I'm LFVE. Yay, I'm glad I got that too. Because I was thinking, like, all right, so basically, let me explain this. So I thought I was LFVE. And the reason why I thought maybe that's not true is because I think maybe I have results V instead of process V, because I get really triggered if anybody like calls me out on my willpower, because I just feel like there's no negotiating that for me. Like, it just, I don't like my willpower. I feel like it sucks. I feel like it's limited, in some ways, not always. But yeah, and so, but yeah, I would say willpower related things in general, I'm not a fan of, or like I struggle with. And so, you know, if somebody calls me out for, and I guess it's not that I don't have a lot of willpower, that's not what 3V is about. But it's about that if somebody tells me, or somebody wants to like help me do better with my V, and I need the help, I want to reject it. I immediately like, nope, not happening. I don't want to talk about it. Let's just not, like, don't, fuck off. Don't touch my V. Yeah, I get super defensive. And so I think for that reason, and I would just rather be left alone and come out the other side finishing it. But, and so I thought for that reason, I guess, like, so I thought, okay, so for that reason, I think I'm probably process V, but or sorry, results V, but I think I might actually be process V, because I think, as much as I hate to admit it, people working with me on my V stuff, as much as I always feel like it's a personal attack at first, it actually really helps me. And so I think I'm process in that regard. I think I have a lot of patience regarding like yeah, I don't know. I think I'm 4E kind of fits. I'm like pretty casual with my emotions. I don't really get emotional, like, I don't know. And I don't really mind sharing my emotions. I'm not like, you know, I don't think about my emotions that much. They're just kind of there. And like I identify with my emotions. Like, they feel like me and stuff. In human design, I have a defined solar plexus center, but I think, and like I definitely identify with my emotions, and I feel like, you know, what generates my emotions to some degree like is me, and I think that's very natural for FI types to do. But basically, like I think 4E makes sense though, because like I don't really like my own emotions getting in the way. I used to have a pretty negative relationship with emotions. Now it's okay. I still have a negative relationship with V. I have a bit of a theory, by the way, actually, for the system. Basically, I think if you had trouble with something early on in life, but now you don't really have too many troubles with it, I think that there's a good chance that that's your fourth spot. And I think if you've always had problems with something, or maybe you didn't before, but you do now, and it's just, you know, and it's something you put a lot of mental energy on as well as it being like a problem, and, you know, and being hard to deal with criticism, that would be your third slot. Also worth noting for emotions, I'm pretty easygoing. I go with the flow, you know. If you have emotional problems, I'll listen to you probably. I don't really care or take it seriously though. So I mean, like, don't expect too much, but I'll listen to you. And you know, I don't really have a problem just like expressing myself or telling people what I'm feeling. You can see I'm like fairly expressive, but it's pretty deprioritized for me. So I think 4E types are pretty chill. I think they're nice to have in your life. Me and my wife are both 4E. Yeah. And then 1L, I think a lot of people probably agree on. I take my reasoning pretty seriously, and I'm very comfortable dismissing somebody's reasoning if it doesn't make sense to me. And I don't necessarily always want to talk about like if I have a conclusion and I don't think anybody can like convince me otherwise, then it's hard for me to open up a discussion about that as well. I can be like pretty hard-headed with that. But it's also just because I put a lot of thought into it, and I feel like I've considered everything, and I just don't want to waste my time on that, or have people argue with me when they're wrong. F, yeah, again, I like food. I like drugs, I like sex, I like practical things. Like, I would say a lot of what I think about is very practical. So I think about, just practical shit, you know? I'm not always living off an idea in fairyland, whatever. I would say I'm pretty often thinking about, like, what are we gonna do in the future? Near to medium future. What's for dinner tonight? What's our schedule look like tonight? You know, money, Yeah, money, that's a big one too. Money and material objects are things that I also like traditionally try to optimize for, and you know, I spend time on that. So and so yeah, LFVE, I think I reconfirmed that for myself. I guess I would be open to being higher E and lower F maybe. But I think probably not. I'm not super in tune with my emotions. Well, I guess I kind of am, especially for a male. But I'm just not that like, I just don't put that much importance on my emotions, and they're not occupying that much space in my brain, and I'm not very like intuitive or anything either, actually. I'm very I much prefer to use reasoning usually. So yeah, I think low E makes sense for me. I think 4E makes sense as well. Also, like, for example, my dreams are super realistic and boring. They're very similar to reality. And I feel like that might be a bit of a low E thing. Like, I don't know, shit's just kind of dry and mechanical and boring in my internal world. It's a trade-off, I guess. I mean, like, not boring, like it's not fun, but I mean, it's not like, I don't know. It's all just data. It's not like colored and stuff. I mean, like, this obviously as much as it's human, it's colored and all that, but I think, like, anyway, we have 37 minutes now, so I think that's long enough. We probably got some kind of natural voltology out of this. So I'll upload this later and send it in the channels. So, yes, thank you for watching, and have a good day.